Oh my God, I'm going bald?
Yes.
What?
It makes you feel like that.
It was, oh my God, I'm gonna start crying thinking about it. Like, it was such a debilitating moment for me. Before we get started with our episode, we're going to hear from our sponsor. Finding a therapist that you trust shouldn't be super complicated, and it shouldn't cost you a fortune either. That's why today's sponsor, Rula, was created. Rula connects you with highly qualified, vetted, licensed mental health professionals that are suited for you. And the best part, they take most major insurance plans. Head over to rula.com/Rebecca to get started today. Go to rula.com/Rebecca and take the first step towards better mental health today. You deserve quality care from someone who cares. Now let's get started with this week's episode. For those living under a rock who might not have heard of Bailey Lavender before, hi, I want to hear, so you are a hairstylist.
Yes.
And I want to hear how you decided that was what you wanted to do, how you came to that profession, what you specialize in, because I know different stylists have different kind of specialties, what that means, and how you came to social media, because everyone should find you and follow you, as they should.
Well, thank you. So I actually wanted to be a therapist.
Really?
I did not want to be a hairstylist.
What kind of therapist?
I wanted to specialize in trauma.
I love that.
I wanted it so bad, but I'm dyslexic and ADHD, and I had gone to a school for dyslexia. I was fully aware that I was probably going to really struggle in school. Mind you, I hated school with a passion.
No.
And so my mom and I sat down one day, and she's like, listen, I think you could do really well at that. The issue is you won't pay attention. And right now, 18-year-old Bailey, I need you to do something that you know for sure you've got as a backup plan. So first, before I say yes to you going off to becoming a therapist, I want you to go to cosmetology school. I was already doing like hair for friends and stuff. And so she's like, go to cosmetology school. Once you get your license as a backup plan, if you still want to be a therapist, absolutely. Absolutely.
Love that.
So went into the cosmetology and I was like, I'm going to hate this. Loved it.
Really?
Loved it. I got to play with my hands. My ADHD got to be able to do stuff, and I wasn't just like sitting all day. But also felt like a therapist, but got to be mobile.
Yeah.
And be creative.
Yeah.
And so I ended up falling in love with it, moved to Greenville, South Carolina, and have been doing it since I was 18 years old now.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful.
Loved it.
I love that. And that's so true. Like I've had the same hairstylist since I was 3 years old.
Wow.
My mom, so I was born in New York, moved here when I was 3. Don't remember anything about New York. So like I am a North Carolinian. It just is what it is.
Yes.
Whenever people are like, where are you from? I never know how to answer because I'm like, I'm not a New Yorker, man. But like, I don't want to lie. But anyways,
Yes.
I don't know how my mom found y'all, but just became her hairstylist and would always take me. And I did not want my hair touched when I was itty bitty. And so y'all like focused on first brushing my hair and getting me comfortable. And like my mom followed her everywhere growing up. If she went to a different salon, like we followed her for sure.
I love the loyalty.
Yeah, and I grew up and I moved to like a different area. Like she was in Cary. I moved to like, first I was in downtown Raleigh, and then I moved like a little further north, and I was like, but I don't trust anyone else to touch my hair. I don't want, like even for when I got married, I had someone do the bridesmaid's hair, but then I left to go have y'all do my hair because no one else can touch it.
I'll tell you, once you find, it's like finding a good nail artist or someone who does your makeup just right. Like once you find somebody,
That's your person.
that is your person.
And she knows everything about my life and my mom's life. If I'm mad at my mom and I go to Yaz, I'm like, let me tell you what your friend, let me tell you how your friend is pissing me off today. Just tell me about it, Rebecca. I will. I will tell you.
And it is such a remarkable feeling watching, because I have had some of my clients since they were late elementary school, early middle school, and now they've graduated college. And watching that within my years, that'll humble you in aging very quickly. Because those clients that at one point thought that I was so cool because I was like this hip young hairstylist, now they think I'm old as dirt. And it very quickly humbles you of like watching these babies grow up.
And I'm the same age as her kids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. So I'm sure it stresses her out
Yeah.
a lot. But you started out at a salon that wasn't great. And something that I always love talking about is how in every industry, there are always people who make the industry more difficult, and always people who make the industry like, oh my the worst, and always create the bad stereotypes. And that's how you like started on social media.
Yeah.
So I want to hear more about that. Like, I love that, and I think it's so important to talk about, especially for mostly girls, but like young people
Yes.
who want to get into the beauty industry and might fall into the trap of one of those bad bosses, bad coworkers, bad salons, like even different industries. Like, this is important to talk about.
Yes. So I always like to preface with, like you said, I was pushed into and fell into a awful salon experience. And I made my presence on social media talking about that. But it doesn't mean there are always bad salons out there. I've actually worked for some amazing salons. So just because this story is bad does not mean everywhere is this way. But so I started my career out as a salon assistant, right? And it was for a stylist who was extremely well known in my area. And
Does everyone start as a
no.
Okay.
So you can start off anywhere in the tiers of being your own boss, working for someone as in commission where you're doing someone's hair immediately, but you are just taking a small percentage of what that client pays.
Okay.
Or I was an assistant, so I got paid hourly, helping her do multiple clients every single hour throughout the time that we were at the salon.
Question before you finish the story.
Yes.
Because I'm going to ask this anyways, and I figured the sequence of events, it just makes sense to ask now. What are the cosmetology requirements, like, either here, like, I know you're going from South Carolina to North Carolina.
Yes.
Does your license transfer over?
So South Carolina and North Carolina are sister states.
Okay.
I was in cosmetology school in North Carolina.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
I got my 1,800 hours in North Carolina and then transferred it to South Carolina because they require very similar things. Their state board testing is just a little different.
Okay.
But I had to go in and figure out the differences so that I was prepared, because when you're in cosmetology school, they kind of run through what to expect during your testing process so that you're not blindsided by anything, because it's physical, where you're doing haircuts, you're doing color, you're showing them the sanitation process, but it's also written so that they know if you know what to how to disinfect, what fungals are out there, all that kind of thing, for to make sure you're not going to pass along anything that could be dangerous. And so transferring that to South Carolina was a little tricky, but not as tricky for other states, because some states require vastly different things.
Kind of like teaching license.
Yes.
So before we move on from that, what were the requirements for you to get your cosmetology license? Because I know that I talked to Siri like a year ago, and so I'm just curious at like how different the requirements are between the states.
So and it also is different per school.
Okay.
So I went to, a lot of people go to the big name brand schools, but I went to a cosmetology that was in a community college.
Okay.
And so within where I was, across the board, you have to hit hours. So I had to have 1,800 hours, but to to graduate from that school, you had to have, say, 25 haircuts, 1,000 foils, like not, those aren't the exact numbers, but like you had to have so many of certain services before you were allowed to graduate, and you had to go through multiple different semesters.
Okay. How many semesters?
4.
Okay, so you did 4 semesters, and so you had to be in school and complete like 1,800 hours.
Yes.
And are there different tiers to the license? Like if you did less hours, would you complete a different kind of license, or is it all just cosmetology?
So when I was in school, it may be different now.
Right, correct.
So when I was in school, you had 2 options with getting your license. You could graduate early, and you could be an apprentice underneath another stylist who is licensed in something else. I'm not sure what that license had to look like, but after working underneath them for so long, then you could become a licensed hairstylist. But to me, that seemed like more work.
Right.
But within that, you got paid. You could start getting paid as a stylist earlier.
Okay.
So to me, it seemed almost similar to like being a tattoo artist.
Okay.
And I may know that.
I haven't even, I want to find a tattoo artist so bad. I just have not been able to find one yet.
Now, I may like be comparing that incorrectly, but that's what I think is similar to. But the one that I did, you went ahead and got the 1,800 hours, went to cosmetology state board, and immediately got licensed if you passed.
Okay.
So that's the only 2 options that, as far as I was aware. Through where I went, my cosmetology is more than just I got a cosmetology degree.
Okay.
Because within my cosmetology schooling, I also had to take classes through the community college.
Interesting. So you don't just have a license, you have a whole degree. That's cool. I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah, I thought it was just like fluff verbiage until like we had like with the rest of the school walk the stage, graduation, get your diploma. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool.
So when it comes to like specialties, because I know some people specialize in like colors, some people specialize, I don't know all things.
Yes.
But did you have to decide that while you were in school, or is that something you decided afterward?
That was something I decided after.
Okay,
While
okay.
I was in school, I wanted to be a clipper cut specialist, so
Okay.
pretty much a barber,
Okay.
without being able to say I'm a barber because you have to go through different schooling
Right.
for that.
Yeah.
I don't even do my wife's haircuts now.
Really?
No. I don't touch clipper cuts now. I'm a low maintenance blonde specialist. I do so many blondes every single day. That is
What does that mean? What does low maintenance blonde specialist mean?
Where you get to go a super long time between your appointments
Okay.
and you're
Okay.
a blondie, because you know how when blondes start growing out, you see their roots.
Yes.
I love my clients. I get bored. I want more stories for more people, and if I see the same people every 4 weeks, I'm bored of your life story. What is new? Unless you have some super drama going on, I need more people in this rotation.
I love it
And so that's why I was like, we got to have some more like low maintenance babes in here, because I need to have some diversity in here. And so that's when
beautiful.
I also get bored with my own hair.
Okay.
Because I'm a blondie, of course.
Right.
And I got bored with my own hair, and I was like, I'm tired of going in this often. Other people have to be bored of this. And so that's when I started leaning more into the low maintenance life myself. My clients started leaning into it. I started getting more gaps in my schedule because they weren't needing to come in as often, and more people started filling those gaps.
So this might be a dumb question.
No dumb question.
And then I want to go back to like the story about where you
Yes.
started. How does that work? Like, how do you extend the time? I've never gotten my hair dyed ever in my life.
my God.
I love my color so
It's
much
beautiful.
that I'm so scared that if I change it, I can never go back.
Yes.
And I also have this one weird, awkward patch of just blonde hair in the back of my head.
You have a birthmark?
I don't know.
That's
I thought it
typically
was a
what it is, yeah.
I thought it was a birthmark, but I asked Ya, and I'm like, is it a birthmark? She's like, I don't see a mark. And I'm like,
But typically, like, it doesn't have to be a mark on your scalp. Like,
I
on
guess
your,
I have a birthmark,
it
but
could-
I don't know. And I don't want it to go away.
it might, when you turn, like, when you get older, it may turn, like, either white or gray
Okay.
first.
Okay. Okay, I'll have to look. I'll show it to you after. It's
I love that kind
Yas
of stuff.
says it makes her chuckle every time
love
she
it.
sees it. But so like, how do you do that? How does it work when you have like a low maintenance, like you dye your hair blonde, low maintenance style versus not? Like, how do you make sure that it doesn't change?
It's all in the placement.
Okay.
So
okay.
it's all within the blonde area, right? It's how I place someone's foils
Okay.
because I look at how someone's head is shaped, how they wear their hair naturally or on a day-to-day basis. And then I figure out what makes them feel pretty, right? So if it's a lot of blonde around their face, or if it's just mainly through here, like there's a lot of extra little questions I have to ask them. And from there, it's where I place their foils
Interesting.
and how they style their hair.
Interesting.
Because eventually over time, the goal is to allow a lot of their natural to be here or mixed in so that they don't see a ton of growth between their times that they're coming in.
Interesting. So is it like, when you say where you put the foils, it's like how high on their head and like in different places on their head?
So if you ever have watched videos of hairstylists doing appointments, you'll see some people of where it looks like they're like knotting the snot out of someone's hair, and they take their comb and they push hair up. That is them teasing the hair to get part of it away, so that when the hair fully comes down, it's diversified. It has some like dimension in it. It's not going to the root, and so a lot of that's sitting around the mid shaft to ends, so it's not all coming up to the root.
Interesting. So you're not dyeing like the entire head. You're dyeing like different parts.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Okay, that's genius.
Someone else came up with it, and they're a genius.
What if someone's like natural hair color is like super, super, super dark brown? You can still do that?
Yeah. You have a possibility of ruining their hair depending on what's on there.
Okay.
And you may not get them as light as what they want long term, but absolutely, hair is so fun. There's so many different things you can do with it.
Sciencey.
It is. That's one thing that Charlie loves to come to the salon.
That's your wife.
Yes.
Yes, she has.
And so my wife, Charlie, she likes to come to the salon and watch me mix like toners or different things. And I tell her what I'm doing because she likes to understand it. And she's like, oh, the science.
It literally feels like a fun, like, experiment.
Yes.
Like with the beakers and all. Oh my God. I love that.
Yeah. And
I love
like,
it so
I
much.
measure everything to make sure it's like even out and never like, if one client comes in at one point, I want, if they liked the same thing, what they got this time, and they come in at a different time, I want to make sure I can replicate it.
I feel like that is a really big misconception about hair in general, is that people don't understand how sciencey it is and how like formula based it is and how drastically disastrous it can be if anything is wrong.
Yes.
Like, I'll tell the story really quick just because it fits so well, and then I really want to talk about it before I started because I love the story so much. But yours, not this one. This one's terrible. This one woman actually had a really bad experience at a hair salon because she went to go get She went to go get a perm, and they grabbed the wrong bottle. And I'm trying to remember the exact names of like what she was supposed to grab because I don't work in this industry, but I know they accidentally grabbed relaxer instead. Oh, no. And in the story I learned that relaxer is really like acid that eats at the stalks of your hair, and that's what lets the curls relax. Uh-huh. And she left it on her head for 2 hours. And so your face. So people that don't know what that means. And after it started burning, she said, I don't know what's on my head, but you need to get this off of me. And almost had 3rd-degree burns on her scalp.
My goodness.
Mm-hmm. And imagine if she didn't ask for it to be taken off, like if she didn't start feeling the pain, how medically, like, even worse that would have been. I can't even imagine what would have happened to her skin.
My heart hurts for this woman.
That's crazy.
Not only does going through something like that hurt you physically, right? Because now she has 3rd-degree burns.
Right.
But also your trust is gone within stylists, which you're going to have a very long time before you feel like you can trust someone to do what they say that they're able to do. But 2, some women, not all women, hold their beauty in their hair. And so did she struggle with mental, like where she felt beautiful or not after that? Like, and that breaks my heart.
I'm trying really hard to not tell another story because I really want to hear yours so bad. But what you said just fits so perfectly.
Tell me.
Okay. So this woman, for whatever reason, I don't know if it was an illness. I don't know if it was just she decided for funsies one day, but she had recently shaved her head. Mm-hmm. And it was starting to grow back a bit, and she was getting married. And she usually does her own hair, but her friends kind of convinced her, oh, you're getting married, you should treat yourself, have someone touch it up, have someone do something fun. Like, it's starting to grow back a bit, do something fun with it for your wedding. Like, you're going to feel beautiful. And so she went to a local hairstylist, and she explained, hey, I usually do my own hair, but I'm getting married, and my friends told me to come treat myself. Don't worry, I'm going to do something so fun and so cute, and I got you, don't worry. And kind of gave her like a mullet. We're going to take a quick break and hear from our sponsor. Life can get messy sometimes, and it's important to remember that during those times, it's okay to ask for help. Finding a therapist that you trust shouldn't be super complicated, and it shouldn't cost you a fortune either. That's why today's sponsor, Rula, was created. Rula connects you with highly qualified, vetted, licensed mental health professionals that are suited for you. And the best part, they take most major insurance plans. That means that instead of paying hundreds out of pocket, you could pay as little as $15 per session. Mental health is just as important as physical health, so make sure you're taking care of yourself. Thousands have already trusted Rula to support them on their journey towards improved mental health and overall well-being. Head over to Rula.com/Rebecca to get started today. After you sign up, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and let them know that our show sent you. Go to RULA.com/Rebecca and take the first step towards better mental health today. You deserve quality care from someone who cares. Now, back to the episode.
Oh, no.
a week before her wedding.
No.
And she didn't know how to, like, she wasn't used to going to the hair salon. She didn't feel comfortable advocating for herself, so she just silently paid for the haircut and went and sobbed in her car.
Yeah.
And then found a different hairstylist and drove, who just said, I'm just going to fix it. You don't even have to charge me. I'm going to do the best that I can, and I'm going to give you the contact for a good wig for your wedding, and this is the best that we can do. And she's like, I don't think I'm going to be comfortable going to stylists for a long time, but if I ever do, I'm going to come to you. Thank you so much for helping me. And I just can't imagine. Like, and I think both of these stories go to show how important it is for stylists to, one, like, be serious, be knowledgeable,
Yes.
go to a reputable program,
Yes.
a reputable license. And I feel like, I don't know how, if they're able to get away with this as easy in the hair industry. I was just talking to my friend Jamie when we were talking about dietitians and nutritionists and things like that, how there's like this fad on social media to, oh yeah, I'm a nutritionist. Oh
And
yeah,
they're
I
not
do
licensed.
hair. Yes, they're not actually licensed. They're like, oh yeah, I do my hair. I'm sure I can do other people's hair. And like, I don't know how you would go about catching those individuals, but it's so harmful. Like, those kinds of people, were both of those people actually unlicensed? Who knows? At the end of the day, whether they did not have the kind of rigorous training that they needed, or they did not go to a reputable program, or they might not have been licensed at all, that makes it so much more difficult for people in your profession to be taken seriously, to be trusted. I can't even imagine.
Well, they're actually conversations of where they're trying to make it so you don't have to have a license
What?
to do hair,
Why?
because they don't see the necessity of having a license. Some people, not all, but
Okay, that's like the states that are like,
Right.
during COVID, they're like, you don't need a license to teach. And it's like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
the bad part is, to do hair in a salon, you have to be licensed.
Right.
But to do hair at home, if you make your own like salon area or whatever it is, the salon state board, depending on the states that I know, right, North and South Carolina, they won't do anything. They can't do anything. The most state board can do is, from what I understand, is take your license where you are not allowed to do hair in a salon and fine you. That's if you're licensed.
That's like teaching. And a lot of people don't know this. I always hate when people are like, I choose private school because the teachers are more knowledgeable and better licensed, blah, blah, blah. They're not, because private schools are not required to hire licensed individuals.
I didn't know that.
No. Now, are there some private schools that require that to work at their school? Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't, in general, you don't have to have a license to work at a private school.
Holy cow, I did
It
not.
like drives me crazy when people are like, private schools are better. I'm like, what makes them better?
Probably what they're meaning is the smaller classrooms,
Yeah, but
Which
is that with a licensed professional? Who knows?
that part.
Even charter schools. Many charter schools do not. Now, again, some charter schools are great. There's a charter, Raleigh charter, near where I live. Wonderful school. That's a nice charter school, for sure. Many charter schools are not that way and do not have to hire licensed professionals.
That's
Public
so scary.
schools are the only schools that are always going to be required to have a licensed professional. Always. Now, that doesn't mean that every teacher that works in public school is perfect. No.
No.
But it blows my mind.
And there's
Anyways.
probably phenomenal private school teachers.
Yes.
Like,
They're still not licensed. There's probably some
Holy cow.
phenomenal unlicensed hairstylists.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that should be the normal. Nope.
a lot of people, so we have to do, I think you do as well, we have to do continuing education,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And a part of the continuing education, and a lot of hairstylists hate it because it's annoying, but majority of the class that we sit through for the continuing education is sanitation and disinfection over and
Yes.
over and over again because it's so big.
Yes. It's so important.
It's so important. And it's so annoying to sit there through the same thing every single year, but it's so important.
Literally. Before I go off on another tangent, like I have so much more I want to say about this, but I know that we will circle back to it.
Yes.
And I want to talk about where you started. Please continue.
We could
Before
literally-
I ADHD it all over again.
We could literally just keep
Wait, I
going.
love it though, because like I could sit and talk to you for hours, and we have literally been doing
Yes.
that, and I love it so much.
It makes this so much easier.
But go ahead, I will let you
So-
talk.
So the first salon I started in was a salon that I was an assistant in with multiple other assistants that came and went.
Right, but you still had your degree, so you didn't
Yes.
have to start as an. Is there a difference between assistant and apprentice?
Yes.
Okay,
I personally don't know the difference,
that's fine.
but I do know that there is a difference.
Okay, heard.
But legally, within State Board, if I wanted to take clients, I could, right? If I
Right.
wanted to work at the salon as an assistant,
Right, you had
learning
the
from
license.
learning from this stylist who was an amazing stylist, super well known in my area, had awards given to her, I was over the moon to learn from this stylist.
Right.
I was like, I am going to be an amazing stylist because I'm learning from her. Did I learn a lot? Hell yes. Amazing stylist. I will not take that from her. But the amount of trauma
Oh no.
that not only myself, but so many other stylists came out of that salon with that need therapy for. Like, I have friends that I left that salon with that are still in therapy, still discussing what happened at that salon.
From that stylist?
That stylist. Because that owner, stylist, it.
Oh. So there were 3 people working there.
Well, later on, there became 2 booth runners
Okay,
in a different
okay.
area. But there was the owner of the salon who had a ton of clients.
We'll call her Gretchen.
Gretchen. Gretchen had at one time 3 assistants
Okay.
because she was booking herself 3 to 5 clients at a time
Wow. Okay.
and needed help. And so Gretchen,
Mm-hmm.
her goal was to put color on a client, and then the rest was an assistant's job.
Okay.
You shampoo, you blow dry, you style, you check out, you move extensions up, you take extensions out, all that, stylist.
Okay.
Or assistant, sorry.
That's okay.
The time that I was there, I was spoken to multiple times about how I did not look the part as a stylist because I was too fat, ultimately.
What?
Yeah. I was heavier set at the time. I was a curvy queen. And I was told that I did not dress pretty enough, that I was never going to go anywhere in the salon industry because I did not look the part. Stylists looked prettier than I did. They dressed better than I did. Mind you, I was working for under minimum wage.
If I were to go, well, I mean, I've used Job my entire life, so like I would never go and look for another stylist because she would murder me. But
Well, you love it.
I do love her so much. I love that woman. What I'm struggling to understand is like, I would assume when I'm going to a hair salon, I want to see how the stylist's hair looks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand what the clothes or the weight or like what does that matter?
I truly believe it was simply because she was is a stunning human being. And I think because she had so much body issues with herself that she pushed that onto other people. And because she wanted her salon to have this certain look, right?
I hate that.
I think that may have been where that came from. That's me just years down the road, therapy, thinking maybe it was more than just about me and there was just some
Yes, I like
reflection
that. I like that.
of like just she hated things about herself that I didn't know about, was dealing with things that I didn't know about, and maybe that was just where it was coming.
Which,
It doesn't make it right,
no.
but that was the kind of stuff I dealt with. There were cameras put up all over the salon. He would sit at home, her husband, and watch the cameras to where we would get texts from him at home and giving inputs to our conversations with the client that we were talking with. Like, I remember one time I was talking about a TV show with a client while I was styling her, and he texts me talking about the conversation we had about the TV show, and then also reprimanded me because I was not talking about product, to sell product.
Wait. He texted you to contribute to the conversation.
Yes.
And then reprimanded you for having the conversation?
Yes. We were also, this is illegal, now that I know, we were also told not to say they were not happening or to confirm. But when a client would check out, right, they would ring their card, type everything in, this is the tip, you take this percentage of the tip or take this amount from this tip. I want you to have this much, Bailey, right? Leave. Thank you, thank you. I didn't get it. It did not go to me. It did not go to the other assistants. It went fully to the owner.
What was their reasoning for that?
We didn't deserve it.
Who are they to decide what a customer's money, like, if a customer is giving you money, who are they to decide, you don't really deserve this? That makes no sense. I mean, it is illegal. It is illegal.
It's their salons, make their rules. I decided to work for them. I could work somewhere else if I wanted. That was all of their thought process. One year for Christmas, we got really big, super excited because jars were left out with our name on it. And if a client brought cash and wanted to put cash in your jar, you got to keep that tip.
Oh my God. Did they ever get like busted for that? I would have gone through and kept track of all the tips they took. And at the end, like whenever I left, I'd have been like, this is what you owe me.
Mm-hmm. There were lawsuits from other stylists in them because so a lot of times when you finally became a stylist with them, which was very hard, you had to go through different tiers to become a stylist. When you finally become a stylist with them and you get to take your own clients, you had to sign a non-compete, which I think non-competes in the salon world are trash.
Yeah.
I truly do, because that is taking someone's livelihood.
Yeah.
And that's my thought process. But they made you sign a non-compete. I had finally gotten to the point where I was about to be able to take on clients myself, and a non-compete was in discussion. And I was like, nope, I'm done with this. I finally was honest with my mother and my stepfather about what was going on at the salon while I was working my booty off there. I mean, it was bad. I'd start at 8 a.m., not get home till almost 2 a.m. sometimes.
Oh my God.
It was rough. My feet were killing me. It was bad. I was worked to the bone. But finally I told them what was going on. They convinced me to leave, and I gave my 2 weeks notice and went to a salon down the road. They tried to come after me for a little bit, but then realized I never signed the non-compete because I never took clients from them. And I was never a stylist there, so I was out. But the amount of people that I heard from, clients-wise, that I was talked trash about, like I'm shaking thinking about it. I was an assistant there. I was a child. I turned 21 at that salon. I was a baby. And a grown adults were talking trash and showing my work that I was trying to promote, trying to get clients in my chair, trying to build a successful business. And they were showing these pictures to their to their clients that knew me and become some of my friends and making fun of me.
Okay, hold on a second. It's inappropriate for you to talk to a client about a TV show that they enjoy.
Yes.
But it's not inappropriate for them to sit there and trash another stylist and pause their client's appointment to show them photos on their phone.
Yes.
What?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this whole episode just needs to be nightmares in the hair world.
It is. It is. And it's so sad the amount. So when I started making my social media presence, right, and I started recreating these in skits, a lot of times people reached out to me because some were in the hair world and some of them actually had worked at the salon after I left, knew the stories and put 2 and 2 together, realized it was me. And they're like, hey, don't name me, but I have had this same experience. Or they worked in a different area for a salon owner that did the same things to them. Or they were in the restaurant business. Like, so many people related with small business owners that treated them like trash.
Yeah.
To me, when I started it, it was like here's an unbelievable story that I hope no one relates with. Mm-hmm. And so many people did, which broke my heart.
Yeah, I think it's such a double-edged sword because when it comes to, shop small and support small businesses, and people want to do that so much.
Yes.
But there's that's a good thing. Yes. That is a good thing to support small businesses. Mm-hmm. But there's also this flip side of there are so many people out there that are just predatory towards their employees and predatory towards their customers. Like, can you imagine telling someone you cannot bond with your client? You have to just pull them for every cent and dollar that you can. You can only talk to them about buying product. Like, I've been with Ya since I was 3 years old. That woman, she wants to know everything. Every time I come in, she wants to know what I'm up to, what's new, what's going on, how's my life, how am I doing, how's my mom, how's my brother. But I love this woman.
Yes.
I cannot imagine how stylists in that kind of mentality are supposed to bond with clients or create those long-term clients. Or like, that just sounds disgusting.
And how do you not create a bond with someone that you've watched their entire life journey or been, like, I've had clients, they go through cancer treatments, their children go through cancer treatment, they lose somebody, they go through divorce, they go through miscarriages, they go through all these things. How do you not create a bond with them? And we weren't allowed to. And I struggled for a really long time early on in the industry, in my career, to figure out how to balance that, because I thought, because that was the rules there, that I should never. And so I struggled to figure out what was right and wrong within that. Eventually, I learned you can be friends with certain people as long as they don't take advantage of you, that were once your client and now are also your friend. And I've created such good bonds with so many people, but for so long, I couldn't even be friends with them on Facebook. Like, that, it was a rule at that salon, but also I kept that rule because I thought that's too close of proximity. Like, you're going to know too much about me.
What was their reasoning for that being bad?
It's unprofessional.
Like, I can see it to an extent with teaching, because it was don't add your
minor
friend.
Versus
Well, even like, I 1000% see it with like the students. I wasn't sure if it ever bled over into like their parents or not, but it still made me uncomfortable for them to see my whole life. Not because I thought it was unprofessional, but because, you know, sometimes parents really like to complain about what you do in your free time, and I was like, I don't know if I want to deal with that. But I can't sit here and fathom why that would be a problem with a hairstylist.
And I'll be honest, my books filled up the most and this was before like TikTok, right?
Right.
So my books filled up the most when I finally started just showing who I was. The favorite coffee shop, my dog, me going for a walk, what me and my ex looked like, what our wedding day would look like, who I am as a person, that I'm super sarcastic, that I'm sometimes going to show up and my hair is going to be in a messy bun and I'm in a t-shirt. Like, those kind of things, not always looking perfect.
I love that.
Like, that's what, and my people flooded my books when I finally was like, this is who I am. Accept it or leave it.
It's people crave authenticity so much. And I think with as popular as Your Old Boss used to be, the idea of the picture perfect salon and the picture perfect employees, blah, blah, blah. Like, it literally makes me nauseous thinking about it. But like, the reality is that people don't, like, life is not perfect.
No.
You can have perfect hair and it's still not going to look perfect every single day. I wash my hair, twice a day? Sorry, not twice a day, twice a week or something like that? Twice a day.
My stomach flipped.
No, sorry. No. Twice a week. Okay, fun fact, I actually used to wash it every day because I thought you were supposed to do that. And when I was in high school, y'all was like, can you stop, please? And I was like, oh.
When I was in high school, and mind you, my hair is naturally curly. I shampooed, blow dried, and straightened my hair every single day. Yes.
No, yeah, I feel that. that. I don't do that now, and y'all are so much more happy with me.
I can understand.
But like, the authenticity, I think, is so important, and I think, and I've said this on so many different episodes, that I try to share good, bad, ugly, whatever, because I think it's important to show, especially on social media, that has contributed to body dysmorphia of women and horrible mental health and things like that. Like, showing that life is not all roses.
Yes.
And everyone has something, and everyone is always going through something. Like, that's important. I think that's so important.
It is.
But so if we are going to focus on nightmares in the hair world, because now I'm fascinated with this and I want this so badly, I want to do a disclaimer to everybody that not all salons are bad.
No.
And not all clients are bad.
No, I have worked with some horrible stylists. I have worked with some horrible clients, but I've also worked with amazing stylists.
The important thing to remember is that when people are talking about the nightmares and the horrors of of clients in industry and whatever, that's like such a small percentage. It's still so important to talk about, because one, like if someone is having a bad experience, it needs that validation of like, no, that's not okay. No, you shouldn't go to that stylist, or no, you shouldn't work at that salon, or no, you should fire that client. Like I think giving them that validation is so important. So I know like when I was experiencing things that were not okay in teaching, that made such a difference to me. And you getting that validation probably changed so much for your mental health, because like you feel like a problem, and you feel like you don't want to cause any noise, you don't want to cause any problems, like you don't want to be the issue until you have someone that says like, no, that's not acceptable, you can't be treated that way. Or I think it's so important to talk about whether salons are being predatory to clients, or whether salons are being predatory to their stylists, or their clients are being predatory to salons. Like I've received so many stories from so many people, and it's important to talk about. But it's also important to make that disclaimer of it's not everywhere, it's not everyone, it's not the normal, but it's still important to acknowledge and talk about that these are things that stylists deal with, and these are things that clients deal with, and these are things that people should know exists in the world.
So I used to do a lot of coaching calls with younger stylists, and I had one stylist who at the time had one bad review, right? And for some reason, this analogy hit me, and ever since it's kind of stuck with me. When you go onto Google and you are looking at restaurants and they have a 4.5 rating instead of a 5, because some people have gone in and left a bad review, do you still not go?
You do.
You do go, because of the mass majority love it. But who are the first people to say something about someone's work?
People who are unhappy. That's actually such a good way to look at it. Yeah.
People are not, if you have a good experience, you're going to talk about it with your friends, but you're not going to immediately go online. The people who are unhappy, the first ones to run to be negative.
That's actually such a good way to illustrate it. I love that. We've talked a lot about stylists, like bad stylists and owners. I have a story about a stylist that had to fire a client. And at the time, like felt confident in her decision, but the validation was necessary. I told the story to my mom in the car, and she was like, oh, okay. So this was a little after COVID, when it was still very normal for businesses to require masks. And this one woman owned a salon. She was also a stylist in the salon. She had people rent out booths and things like that, but it was very important for her for people to wear masks. And a big reason is because at the time her son was diagnosed with cancer.
Goodness, okay.
And it was very important for her to make sure that she stayed as healthy as possible, so that she could go and see him and check on him and spend time with him, because he was terminal. And it was very important for her to not get sick, because that would keep her away from him.
To remain healthy.
Exactly.
Yes.
And around for as long as possible. Like that's the goal.
Yes.
Right? So she had this long-term client come in, who was already making a big huff and puff and whatever about, oh, well, everything's been shut down and I haven't been able to get my hair done and blah, 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 you need to get me in as soon as possible. And like making it almost the hairstylist's fault.
Yes, that we were shut down.
Right. Like, well, other people were open and other people did it even though it was illegal at the time. And she's like, okay, Janet, it's fine. I will get you in. Can't wait to see you, kind of thing. And Janet walks in without a mask. And the hairstylist says, hey, I'm so sorry. You're going to have to put a mask on or I can't have you sit down in the chair. Well, I don't want to wear one of those things. I'm not a sheep. Blah, 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 blah. She's, okay, that's fine, but like, this is my private business, and I'm requiring anyone that come in here have a mask. Well, I'm an American, blah, blah, and it is my right. And, okay, well, it's my right as a business owner
to also refuse.
Not sit you down.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to do anything to you. I don't know if you've seen online or not, because they were also Facebook friends. I don't know if you know this or not, but my son has cancer. So health is like just very important to me right now. My son has cancer. I'm making everyone have a mask. Yeah, I know that he's sick. I saw the Facebook updates, but isn't he terminal anyways? Get out.
Even if you put on a mask at this point, there is no way I'm touching you with a 10-foot pole.
Get out. Disgusting behavior. Disgusting behavior. Fire her. Fire that client.
Instantly.
Absolutely no. Instant no.
Block. Done. No more conversation.
Think about the entitlement. Your son is terminally ill, and it is more important for me to not have on this face covering than for you to get as much time with him as possible.
That is...
And you know what? That lady probably left a bad review.
And probably still does not see anything wrong with what was done.
She's American. Ah.
Am I a firm believer in you get to choose what you get to do with your own body? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But if it affects me
Or my loved ones.
That's where it becomes both of us.
Mm-hmm. It's not just about you anymore.
We get to decide how we're going to be able, what is the word?
Cooperate?
Coexist.
Coexist. I like that one better.
Coexist in the same small area.
Mm-hmm.
So how are we doing it?
Disgusting behavior. Nightmare in the hair world. Entitlement at its finest. Have you had any nightmare clients?
Yes. Oh, so many.
Oh,
but
tell me.
One particular shortly after COVID. Okay. We were shut down. I was shut down, I think, for 2 to 3 months, right? I'm trying to get everybody back in. I am a solo person over here, trying to get all my people in that have been gone and off my books for months, okay? And I had a system that I felt like was fair is once we got shut down, the people that were on that first week, they got back in on the first week.
Right.
So it was just shifted all back instead of trying to be like first come, first serve. It felt like chaos.
Right.
So everybody just shifted backwards.
Right.
So this client knew that I had been open for like a week or two, right? And I was trying to get as many people in as possible, which meant that I was having to double book, which I normally don't do, which meant you had to wear a mask. I was disinfecting everything as quickly as I could, but it also meant that sometimes people overlapped and I might be running late just a little bit, which I never normally do. Everybody was forewarned about this. So when she finally her time's coming in for that day, I'm running 10 to 15 minutes late. Typically it's only about 5 minutes, but I was running about 10 to 15 minutes late. I texted her, hey, I wanted to let you know I'm running a little bit late. If you need to grab coffee or something, or if you need to reschedule, I completely understand. I apologize. The person before you needed more done than what I expected. She lost her shit. Lost her shit. Started blowing up my phone, leaving bad reviews on not only my business account, but also the salon's business account, calling the owner, blowing up her phone, blowing up the salon's phone, where I'm trying to talk to her. She's hanging up on me, not letting me finish my sentence, trying to explain to her that I'll happily get her in at a convenient time within the next week. I was apologetic. It was unfortunately something I couldn't get around. Something had happened. And it got to the point where I was like, I'm done with this conversation. This has gotten too far, because she was,
oh my God,
at that point, slandering me, right?
Yeah.
And so I just was like, I'm done. I'll let you cool down, because obviously you are just flying off the rails. So I was going to give her 24 hours, and then we're going to have another conversation the next day once everything calmed down. Because sometimes people fly off the rails. Some people have mental things that are going through. I'm going to give you a moment.
Everyone always has something.
And sometimes people act out of character, later on regret it. Fully understand that. So at like 2 a.m. the next morning, or that night, my phone starts flying off the handles. Text after text after text after text telling me how horrible of a human being I am for inconveniencing her.
You didn't even cancel. You were just running a little late.
Yes. And told her if it was an inconvenience for her, I would happily move her to another day that made it easier for her, and I would rearrange people as need be.
How late were you running?
15 minutes.
Oh my God.
Because I never run late. I am very big about that, because I find it so disrespectful to a client that's taking time out of their day to come see me. I never do that.
Did she have a time constraint issue? Like,
No.
Did you end up doing her hair that day, or did she just not come?
She just didn't come.
Did she say, I have to go to the airport, or I have to, like, you're wasting my time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I knew that she had kids. I was like, if you need to reschedule because you need to go pick them up or go do, like, if you have a babysitter, like, I completely get that. And mind you, I had forewarned her 45 minutes before her appointment. So we're an hour before I would see her, right, at that point. So at 2 a.m. the next morning, she's blowing up my phone, telling me how horrible of a human being I am and how I inconvenienced her unbelievably. She waited all this time to get her hair done, that just ripping me a new one. And so the next morning I was like, okay, this has gone too far. At this point, I will refer you to a stylist in the area, because I've done your hair for 5 years. I have never once been late to an appointment, made you late for anything, bent my schedule to help you, and this one time that I make a mistake, you are going to treat me this way because I'm a service provider? That's not fair.
It never makes sense to me, because when people have doctor's appointments or hair appointments or dentist appointments, whatever, it's like very normal. Oh my gosh, I'm running a little bit late. I'm so sorry. Like, and you always expect as the customer that there's a grace period, right? And it's usually 10, 15 minutes. I don't understand people that will fly off the handle if it's reversed.
Yes.
And I know that, oh, well, you're paying. Okay, but so are the people before you that's also taking time. Like, your money isn't more important than someone else's. And if there's an emergency or an issue or things happen sometimes.
Yes.
Right? And it's not like you were like, oh, I'm running late, deal with it. Like, people always have something going on. People have lives. Things happen. And being able to say, look, I'm running late. I'm so sorry. That's my problem. How can I work with you on this? Like, that's a very human thing.
Trying to be understanding.
Right. And it's like, she can be annoyed.
Absolutely.
But going out of your way in that way to slander, to insult, to bully, to belittle, like, that's just gross behavior.
And that was before I had a social media presence. So at that point, if you are writing a bad review on someone, you are hoping, in a small business, you are hopeful that it hurts their business to the point that they may not be able to pay their bills. And at that point, do you think someone should not be able to pay their bills because they were accidentally 15 minutes late?
That's crazy.
Like that blew my mind.
The wild thing is, I know there are people that are going to hear that and be like, yeah, because they're that entitled.
Yes. And to me, that's not my client. I have worked very hard to have the amazing clientele that I do. And I love every single one of the clients I have had sat in my chair for the past couple of years, because they are amazing.
That's beautiful.
They write me Christmas cards. They cried with me when they found out about my son. Like, the people that I now have as my people, amazing humans. But I had to go through some rough patches with some people to find them.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I got a couple other stories from some hairstylists. And it baffles me the lengths that some people will go to take advantage of other people.
Yes.
Like, one woman was in cosmetology school still. And for those that don't know, there are some salons that literally exist for those cosmetology students to practice hair and get through their courses. And they usually offer those hair services at a discount because it is people who are learning. And mistakes can be made. That is a thing.
And
right?
Everyone who shows up to these schools are fully aware that they are being worked on by a student.
Yes.
They are fully aware.
And there was one lady who regularly went to this salon. And again, it's already discounted heavily, because all the work done is being done by a student. And every single week, when they give her the price, I think she gets, whether it's color or highlights, whatever, I don't remember, doesn't even matter to the story, but automatically gets the bill and says, what do you mean? This is so expensive. It was done by a child. Well, I could have done this in my bathroom. I've never had to pay this much before. Ma'am, we see in our system that you come every however many months, and you get the same service, and you pay the same price nope, system's wrong. I've never had to pay this much in my life. It's already a discounted service. Is anything wrong with your hair? No. Why are you so adamant that you should be paying less? I've just never had to pay this much before. Here's our log history of every time you've been at the store, every single time tries to gaslight this receptionist, and I've never had to pay this much before. Can you show me on your credit card bill where you were charged less? Well, you want me to go through and find the charge from months ago? Well, we're finding the charge from months ago. Wait, you calling me a liar? Ma'am?
Things are not adding up.
This is
so
every single time. Every single time.
So you said the receptionist made me think about this. So I when I first started renting my own suite. A suite is like a salon room by myself, right? And at that time I was renting it with another girl. So I was in there by myself and I was trialing out online booking instead of writing it in a book and having to text people with reminders. So that was kind of new to what I was used to. Not many people were doing online booking. It was still kind of fresh. And I didn't realize I had signed up for like a 30 to 60 day trial.
Okay.
And once that trial is over, everything gets deleted. They fixed that system. It doesn't do that anymore. But I was unaware of that. I thought they'll send me an email, I'll sign up, and I'll renew. It didn't. And everything got deleted. And that meant that some clients that I had yet to have met put in their information and everything got deleted. And I didn't know who they were, how to get in touch with them, or nothing, right? And so I was scrambling. I was trying to contact every single person that I knew that I would have had on my books. I was posting on social media, telling people, if you know somebody that comes to me, please let them know, like reaching out in every way and shape I knew how, okay? So I did the best that I felt as though I could, and I still feel like as though I could. So this random day, I was at a doctor's appointment, and this lady comes in to come get her hair done. And she says, hey, I'm here for Bailey. And the receptionist is like, oh, are you sure? Bailey's not here today. She's at a doctor's appointment. This lady starts throwing a temper tantrum in the front of the salon to the point where the girl that I worked with at the time and 3 other stylists came out to check on her and figure out what was going on and see if they could help resolve the issue. All of them were trying to inform her of what had happened to try to help her understand. They also asked her, how did you find Bailey if you don't know her way of getting in touch with her? And she's like, oh, I found her on social media. And they're like, did you see her post that everything got deleted? Well, yeah. Did you reach out to her? No. To the point where she starts screaming, that's fine. I'll call her mother and make sure she knows what she's done to me, and leaves. Okay? They call me and are like, hey, did your mom get a phone call? Are you aware of what's going on? So I'm like, I have not heard anything. I was at a doctor's appointment. So I hang up because they had been trying to call me and my phone's on do not disturb because I was at a doctor's appointment. So I finally call my mom, and she's like, what? No.
How did she know your mom?
We still to this day, mind you, I started working at this salon in 2017. That was in 2017. I, in 2025, still have no clue who this woman is. My mother never heard from her. My mother also made sure I was fully aware. If this woman reached out to her and explained to her how she acted in my place of business, my mama, a short little redheaded country woman, would have told her where to shove it. Like, absolutely not. You do not do that to my child, much less another human being.
No.
Like, showed her rear end. It was horrendous to the point where people still are talking about that, like, instance in that salon about how horrible it is. They were trying to describe her to me, figure out if my mom knew someone within her description. We've never figured out who this woman was.
So she was just like, I'm just going to call her mom as like a threat?
I guess so. We're not sure. And they were like, and some of the stylists were like, this is not like Bailey. If she knew that you were coming in, she would have let us know, or she would have let you know. Please let me do your hair. And that way, because I have, like, one of the stylists was like, I have time, let me do your hair to make up for this, trying to help me out because she was like, she's a good friend. She would have given her back if she wanted me.
Right.
But trying to help in any way. There was nothing that could have been done to make that client happy other than if I was there. But there's no telling if she would have even been a happy client of mine with how that instance went.
Yeah, no. Because, like, it's one thing to show up to an appointment when you're like, I have a hair appointment, I'm getting ready, and it just doesn't work out at all. You're not on the books. You feel invalidated, like,
yes,
for sure. For other stylists to be like, I'll take you now, and for her to say, no, like, I really wanted the work of this one person, I can even understand that.
I get that, and that makes my heart so happy that she would have wanted that.
But one, to act like a child over it,
yes,
and to berate other people who aren't even involved in the situation, like, first of all, how old are we? But second of all, to have admitted, yes, I saw the situation online. I saw that she was having issues. She'll figure it out. What?
Yes. I've had so many clients come in on the wrong day, and I look at my schedule that sends them an email and a text confirmation. And they just put it on their calendars wrong, and they come in and we try to figure out if I have time or not, try to move it around, or they completely missed their appointment because, again, they wrote it down on their schedule. Like, people make mistakes.
It happens.
It happens.
Whether it's a client or stylist, it happens.
It happens. We're all human, and this is a human doing a service on another human. There's sometimes things going to go wrong, but the way that people interact with another human being
is sad.
Is sickening.
It's disgusting.
Yes.
Someone else sent me a story about how, like, and it's a little different, but it still is the same vibe of, like, people just, I don't know why people just assume hairstylists don't know what they're talking about. I don't understand. But this one hairstylist got a client, and she's like, hey, what do you want to do? She said, oh, I want to do something different. I want to do a different color. I want to mix it up a little bit. And the stylist was like, okay, let me know what you're thinking. Tell me. So excited about this. So, and I don't exactly remember the color that she wanted. I think it was some shade of red. She goes, I want to go red, but I want to go this very specific shade of red. I'm really excited about it. I've seen it trending online. And the stylist says, okay, we can do that. I want to let you know, I'm looking at the shades, I'm looking at the tones. I don't think it's going to really mesh well with your complexion. This color looks really nice on this person you have in this photo, but they have a different complexion than you. I don't think you're going to love this color on you. Do you want to try a variation in something that is similar, but is like either a little cooler or a little warmer, whatever it was that fit her, something that will fit you and like your natural features? No. I want what's in the picture. Okay, that's fine. If that's what you want, I just want to make sure that, like, we have it confirmed that I'm saying I don't think you're going to like this. And you still want, and that's fine. It's your hair. If you love it, that's all that matters.
Yes.
So we will go ahead and we will do that color. And she goes and she mixes it up. And I think she was blonde, so it was relatively easy to get her there that day. And she finishes and she turns the chair around and the girl goes, oh my God, this looks terrible.
She tried to warn you.
What did you do to my hair? What have you done to me? I look awful.
No.
This isn't even like what I saw in the picture. And she literally takes her phone and puts a strand of hair next. This is the exact same color. Why don't I look like that?
I'm not a plastic surgeon.
That too. I told you that you do not have the same kind of complexion as this person in the photo. These colors do not complement your natural features the way they do her. I told you this. Well, what do we do? Well, I have another client coming in. If you would like, we can set up another appointment. I think I have time later today if you want to fix this today. Well, it's going to be free, right? No. So I told you that this was going to happen. I can't waste my product because you didn't listen to me. But I hate my hair. Right. This is what you wanted. And if you want it fixed, you're going to have to pay for another color appointment.
If the stylist messed up, that's a different conversation.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes, for sure. If a stylist messes up, 1,000% should
you fix your wrongs. Duh.
When she's like, hey, I don't think you're going to like this and just do it anyways, that's no longer on the stylist. Not at all. Not in the slightest bit.
No.
And this woman could not understand why the stylist wouldn't fix her hair for free. Was so upset, I fired her as a stylist, left the worst review ever.
No.
Oh, of course. Of course. Would you expect anything else? No.
So I have a client still to this day, and we laugh about this, okay? And so she ended up being an amazing client.
Okay.
We giggle at this.
Okay.
The first time she came in to get her hair done, she shows me a black and white photo of her hair when she was younger and says, I want this color. I could tell it was blonde, but I couldn't tell the tone or the exact level, like levels.
What do you mean, Bailey? You can't adjust the color with your eyes? Like, what are you slacking? Oh my God.
I could tell that she was blonde. I could tell that it was super, super light, but I couldn't tell if it was like a warm blonde or a cool blonde and that kind of thing. And so I was trying to ask those questions, and she was not understanding the question. So I was pulling out photos of like that I could try to show her of like, did it look like this or like this? And she's like, no, it looked like this. I'm like, but I can't fully tell. And so she had our 15-minute consultation went to 30 minutes, which cut into her appointment time because I had someone behind her. And it ended up being where she was like, do you just not understand what I'm wanting? And I'm like, no,
I don't know.
I don't. And I'm really genuinely trying. And it got to the point where I was like, why don't you go home? We'll reschedule you. You find another photo. I'm not going to charge you for today because I'm not understanding. You're not understanding. You thought this was going to work. We're just going to try this another day and bring me back in another photo, but with color. And then we're going to do it. She brought it back in the next week and ended up, I was like, got it. We can do this. It was perfect. But I will never forget that moment. I was like, this is going to be an awful client interaction. She's going to hate me. I'm going to end up having to fire her. She's going to fire me. We're going to have an awful experience. But we understood very quickly within that 30 minutes that neither one of us were understanding the other one. And she needed to come back with a better picture reference.
But it worked out.
At first, I thought I was getting punked.
That's, you know what? I feel that. There have been so many times in teaching that I literally like when one mom had an entire temper tantrum about why I wouldn't have a meeting with her in the middle of third period. And she couldn't understand. And I genuinely thought I was being pranked.
You're like, because I'm
working. Teaching your child. What? Yeah.
Sometimes people shock me.
Yeah.
So we're talking about how sometimes you go into a bad experience, right? And just because you're in that bad experience doesn't mean another one will also be bad, right? So I leave the first salon that I ever worked at with trauma, needing therapy, awful experience, fully expecting every salon to always be like that because that's all I knew. The next salon I went to, within months of me being there, a baby stylist working with a ton of stylists who are extremely experienced. I was manager of that salon.
Yeah. Once you find your place, a healthy working environment where you fit in, and that's not going to look the same for everybody.
No.
Someone could be, you could find your place, and to someone else, it could be awful because people are different. People have different needs. People have different vibes and different styles. And there might be some people who are very work mentality and all work, no play. And then another salon might be more play, family oriented. We all love each other here. Different people are going to look for different vibes. And that's totally okay. But once you find your niche, your salon, your school, your hospital, your whatever, that is such a validating feeling.
Is.
And it's the best. And it's so important.
And I loved that salon. It made me feel like I was actually doing something that I loved because for a while there I questioned it. And then I left that salon and went and worked at a different salon because of the experience that they gave. So that one trained me to work on, I don't know if you know what this is toppers.
Oh, no.
So a lot of women, they get extensions because their hair is thin here, right? Some women are thin here and they don't think that they can do anything other than medication, that kind of thing. So, but they don't want to wear a full wig because it's hot. Toppers are similar to a wig / extensions, and they only cover the top part of your head. And so it looks like your hair, and it's kind of like a wig. It has a piece that goes onto it, and you clip it in different areas. You can style it, you can color it, you can do all the different fun things. You can wear it to the beach. You literally have to shampoo it every 6 to 8 weeks. You go into your stylist, they do it for you. You go home, whole shebang. And a lot of people with alopecia, going through cancer treatments, post-cancer treatments, there's a ton of different reasons why a lot of people get this. And I went to the salon because they had their own brand doing it. And I got to travel all over the U.S. selling this and teaching stylists how to color them, how to apply them, how to cut them, how to treat them on clients, teaching clients how to style them. It was really stinking cool.
We talked about this at the holiday party when we got together months ago. But I think so many women don't understand how common it is to, in stressful times, whether it's traumatic life events, big life changes, postpartum situations, hair loss is a thing.
Yes.
And I've made stories about this. I haven't talked too much on social media about it yet because I'm still finding remedies and I want to talk about it when I have advice that I can give from my firsthand experience. But like when I started like my own life changes and becoming a single woman and things like that, my hair started falling out.
Yes.
I was so stressed out and I was so unwell. My hair started thinning, and that was like on top of everything else, it's like, now I'm losing my hair?
Yep.
What?
And was it about 3 months after?
I'll be so honest, I don't know.
Typically, it's around 3 months.
Let me see.
Typically.
Let me see if I'm honest here. I didn't even realize that it was happening, I guess. Like when I was taking a shower, I would realize like, oh, I'm pulling a lot of hair out. But I didn't connect the dots until one day I used to do like a lot of braids. I used to do a lot of buns. I used to do like different things with my hair on days that I didn't wash it, especially like when I was filming content. And I just lost a lot of motivation to do hair makeup things. And I've never been good at hair and makeup in general, but I just like was not finding the motivation to really do anything. Yeah. And one day I was like, maybe I should do something. And I went to like put my hair back into like a bun, and I could see my scalp. And I was so confused, and I didn't know what was happening. And I was like, I don't, excuse me, why? And I just started panicking, and like, then the tears.
Yes.
Because, it's like your world is already crumbling, or you're so stressed out all the time.
Yes.
And on top of it, it's like, oh my God, I'm going bald?
Yes.
What?
It makes you feel like that.
It was, oh my God, I'm going to start crying thinking about it. Like, it was such a debilitating moment for me. And I didn't even know where to start. And I had an appointment with my stylist, with y'all, like very soon after. And I just went to her crying. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's happening. Like, I don't know how to fix this. And she's like, okay, just call. You've been under a lot of stress lately. I'm like, yeah, okay. And so I invested in a lot of different things. Like some small things, some big things, some accessible to everybody, some not. I understand that. So I started increasing my intake of biotin, which I understand. When I said this online, I got so many people that are like, vitamins and stuff are dumb because when you have too much of it, you just pee it out. And I'm like, okay, but if I'm balding, I clearly don't have enough of it, okay? Like, thank you, Chad. I appreciate it. I clearly don't have enough. Started increasing my take of biotin. I got this LED helmet thing. It was like a red light therapy. It is very expensive. I know that's not going to be something that everyone can invest in. I understand that. Yeah. I'm very privileged I was able to. For me, even as expensive as it was, having this be my job, investing in something that would make me feel pretty when I have to be on camera every day was just a necessity to me. And like, for sure.
Some women will spend their entire life savings
to feel pretty. And that's fine.
And that is
okay.
That's their money. They get to choose how they spend it.
If that is what makes you feel good about yourself, do it. There are some women that are so wonderfully confident that they don't really care. Yeah. That's beautiful. Yes. I wish I had that confidence. I don't. So like for me, I needed that. And then I also, I literally made a story about it in some wonderful company. I'm not going to say names yet because I want to see how it works. Yeah. And I want to make sure it's good before I promote it, because I'm going to. But they were like, hey, we specialize in hair regrowth stuff. We're just going to send you some serums. Like, tell me what you think. Tell me how you like it. I just got it in the mail. I am really excited to see, because everything that I've been trying says like, oh, in 3 months you'll see results. So because I'm using a couple different things, I'm kind of hoping that it's a little bit faster. And I like it is, like Yas says, she sees like baby hairs and stuff. And I am going to try the serum and see if I see even quicker results. And when I do, I would love to share that with people, because like if something works and it's going to make you feel pretty, I want other people to know about it and to have access to that. Like that's so important to me, but I want to make sure it's good first. And I think like I didn't realize how normal that was. I didn't realize that it was something that so many women go through. Yes. And that would have made me feel so much better if I at the time knew that was normal. And like even you were like, increase your protein intake. Yes. That's also a factor. It's stress, it's protein, it's so many things. I didn't know that.
It's not commonly talked about. And when women start going through, and not just women, people in general, I don't like classifying. When people in general start to stress, from what I understand through talking to medical professionals, your body, dumbing it down, your body is the way that it thinks is, I need to survive. What do I not need to be able to survive currently, because I am burning at both ends of the candle, right? And I need to figure out what I can get rid of so that I can keep hanging on. Hair is something that we don't technically need on our body. So it's going to be the first thing it gets rid of, right? If it's struggling to keep going. If you're stressed, if there's so much going on internally that you're not getting the vitamins or something that you need, if your body is working in overdrive to simply allow you to exist, it's going to get rid of something that it doesn't necessarily need.
Interesting.
Your
That
hair
makes
is one
so
of
much
them.
sense.
Yes. And so a lot of people, your immediate reaction is, well, don't stress. That's
My hair's falling out. How am I not going to stress out? What do you mean don't stress? I'm balding.
That is the worst advice to give someone. Don't stress about it.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
I'm gonna stress. And so having other things, upping your vitamins is helpful, because sometimes you may not
You
be
have that deficiency.
Yes,
right
some people do. And so I always tell people, up your vitamins, but also go to your doctor, get your vitamins pulled. But then if you can, up your protein intake, like do all of these things, up your water, try to go for a walk, try to do something relaxing that makes you happy, take a bath, read a book, do something that may decrease that stress level. But also go to your doctor, because there might be something happening internally that you're not aware of.
No. Yes. Yeah, I meant
Yes.
no,
Yes.
like you don't know, but
Yes.
like you know what I mean.
But it's so not talked about.
Yes.
And the amount of women, that's why I moved into a suite when I left that salon and moved back to Greenville, is because I had so many women that still trusted me to do their blowouts on their toppers. But when they were in a big open salon and they took these toppers off and they had very thin hair that you could see their scalp, other women, not trying to be rude, would stop and stare at them. And they didn't like being stared at. They didn't want to be a spectacle.
Because it makes you feel like something's wrong with you.
Exactly. And so I made sure initially, I now like it for privacy for many different reasons, but I went into a suite for the comfortability of my client.
I love that.
So that I could close my door, they could take their topper off, because I'd seen them without it, they didn't care. And I went and shampooed their topper, blew it out, curled it, put it back on them, they left looking gorgeous. And the same way they did coming in.
I love it. I think like when you think of nightmares in the hair world, like as a client, like that truly is like the number one thing that you can experience, because it's not like someone messed up and has to fix it. That is like a natural thing that you just have to wait. You just have to wait. And that feels so, you feel so powerless, because you're like, is it going to come back? And am I doing enough? When is it going to come back? What is that going to look like? When am I going to notice it come back?
Over time, our body changes. And I've heard, it may not be true, I've heard your body changes every 7 years. Your taste buds, your skin, your hair, everything. And over time, we start looking different, right? And that's normal. But a lot of times, we don't expect this to ever change.
Yes.
So this should be the staple point a lot of times in our brain. Like, everything else is changing. My skin's getting wrinkly. My skin is changing. My clothes may be looking different. My body looks different because I've had kids, whatever it may be. But our hair to our brains is not supposed to change in our thought process. So when it does, it throws us for a loop.
Yes.
Whoa. What do I do? How do I fix this? And then people start purchasing things like crazy, trying to buy anything that anybody recommends. Random influencer, hey, buy this because they're paying me to tell you it works great.
I know that we've been talking about like nightmares in the hair world. We've talked about terrible bosses, terrible stylists, terrible clients, nightmares that clients can experience, like even just with their own bodies.
Yeah.
Can you think of any other nightmares in your industry, whether it's even similar to things that we've already talked about, but just something that's common and happens more than it probably should, that needs to be talked about or people should just know more about?
Other stylists.
Okay.
When you work in a salon, there are multiple different ways that you can work in the industry, right? Assistant, You can do commission, where you make a small percentage off of what that client pays, and the salon takes the rest. Booth rental or suite rental, or a salon owner. Within majority of that, you're working alongside of someone else, right? So that if you're a booth rental or a suite rental, you provide everything for yourself. Your tools, your color, your shears, sometimes the furniture in your suite, all sorts kind of things. Theft is so big in the industry.
Ugh.
Stealing your product, stealing your, like a shears example. Some people pay a couple $100s for shears. Some people can pay a couple $1,000s for shears. And the amount of theft that goes on in this industry is ridiculous.
It's like a felony at that point. Isn't grand larceny over anything $1,000 and more?
But you can't prove that it's yours.
That's why we need the husband's cameras. That's what they're there for, Bailey. Of course, we found the answers.
Exactly. It is ridiculous.
But don't be creepy about it.
Exactly. But the amount of theft that goes on and the amount of client poaching, and it's one thing if a client says, hey, I no longer want you to be my stylist, I'm going to go to someone else. But someone coming in, talking about how horribly your stylist is doing your hair, how much better they could do it, and trying to take a client physically out of your chair and put them in themselves, it is ridiculous.
Do you have any awful coworkers in mind?
I've had a few.
You have a story for me? What's your favorite one?
I was a manager at the salon, right?
Okay.
The second salon I ever worked at. And I loved every single one of these stylists. But this one stylist always came in after hours when no one was working and left before anybody ever came in the next day. So, because I was thinking maybe she worked night shift. I never saw her. And anytime I did, she was very squirrely, right? So she didn't want to hold eye contact. She was in and out very quickly. And she didn't want to have long conversations. So I started getting spidey senses when things started going missing within our cabinets, right? And out of nowhere, everyone in the salon started talking about things going missing.
Oh.
And so I'm big about privacy. I don't want to go through your things. You shouldn't go through my things. Well, one of the other girls in the salon took it upon herself to open the cabinet of her, like that girl's cabinet. And we had started putting our names on our products, on our developers, on our colors, on everything that we owned, on the foils, full of every single person's name within the salon. How do I address this as a manager? I can't fire her. The salon owner doesn't even work in the industry. He didn't find nothing wrong with it. He found nothing.
Sharing is caring, even though I paid for all these materials.
I paid for it.
Gross.
And he was like, well, I'll talk to her. You're not allowed to. And so the salon girls were very upset. They come to me. They're wanting me to do something because I'm a fellow person in the industry. I should be able to say something.
Yeah.
He didn't want me doing so. And he had known her longer. So I was like, okay, you're the owner. You deal with this as you see fit. Come to find out, he said, hey, please don't do that, and walked away.
No.
That was it. It continued on to the point where we found out, because we put up video cameras, she was even stealing toilet paper from the salon.
What?
Now, mind you, we didn't supply that, so that was not my business. If you're going to steal from the salon, you do you. That's your karma. But it had gotten to that point where so many girls within the salon were threatening to leave that if she wasn't taken care of, either she reprimanded or told to leave herself, that majority of the girls in the salon themselves was all going to do a mass walkout.
Oh my God.
It had gotten that bad.
Did she get fired?
She left because it was brought to her attention that everybody in the salon knew and that her stuff had, like her cabinet had been opened, and she was mad that
So she can
her
steal,
privacy was...
She can mess with other people's privacy, but
Yes.
no one's allowed to move. Got it.
Yes. And that was where
Understood.
she got mad, was that her privacy was not taken in consideration when this conversation.
I hate
yes.
people.
Like, it blew my mind that that was even a thing, but yes.
That's disgusting. I hate it. I thought of one last nightmare in the hair world. Side note, before I even start, you're not allowed to touch someone with lice. No, like per board, you cannot do that.
go home.
You can pull your license.
You go home.
Someone sent me a story about how this woman brought her child to the hair salon. Said,
Now,
hey,
there are salons that are equipped.
Oh, yes.
That are
Yes.
licensed salons.
yes, correct. Yes. Yes. Mom brought child to salon. Just wash her hair. Go ahead and cut it. She's got like something's kind of funky with it. Just take care of it. Stylist goes to look, doesn't even touch the girl's hair yet, can already see. Bad case of lice. Bad case of lice. She can't even be here. I cannot touch her. My tools cannot touch her. We're already gonna have to like shut down for a couple hours and deep clean where she was sitting in the waiting room. This is like a health code concern. Why, you can't just help her with it? No, I will lose my license. Now, there are places I can direct you to,
Yes.
But it's going to be an expensive treatment. You're going to have to pay it, and no other stylist can see her. I cannot, like, you have to leave. You have to get out of the building now. This is a health code violation. If you do not leave now so we can deep clean, we're going to have to send all of our other clients home because she just can't be here. And how expensive is it? I don't, look it up in the car. I don't know. The longer you are here, like the more stressed out I'm getting, like you need to go. What, you're just going to leave my daughter like that? Ma'am, your daughter has to have been left like this for a long time for it to have gotten this bad. This isn't my child. You've been with her every day. You let it get this bad? Take her to a specialist. I don't want to do that. I'm probably just going to shave her head and just left.
So the first week that I was at the second salon, this made me think about it. It's not lice, but the first week that I was there, my mom's best friend was in the salon getting her hair colored that day. And she's a nurse, okay? And so she is sitting in the processing area, but she can see and hear everything very well. This man walks in and he has like longer hair. It's not even like below his ears, but you can run your fingers through it type of hair. And he was dressed in like a business suit, very well nice. Like, and you could tell like he had a ton of like product in his hair. And he's like, hey, I just want to trim. Absolutely. Come sit down while she's processing. Not a big deal. And I put his cape on him and I'm like, all right, we're going to go to the shampoo bowl so I can get the product out of your hair so I can cut your hair. No, you are allowed to run hot water over my hair, but you will not shampoo it. And I was like, I have a ton of products here. If I don't have what you want, I have a ton of products that the salon has that I can pull, whatever you want. If you want to style it yourself, if you don't trust me to do it, I get it. No, I've not shampooed my hair in 10 years.
Oh my God. Oh, I just got chills.
And I was like, okay, some people don't. But I don't know exactly how to handle this because I was still new to the industry. And so at that time, I was not the manager yet. So I was like, ooh, how do I handle this? So I was like, let me pause you for a second, went and grabbed the manager. And I was like, am I allowed to do this? Is this against health code regulation? Or like, what do I do here? And the manager at the time was like, absolutely not. Do not touch this client. You need to tell him that he can be shampooed or he can get sent home. Now, I would throw some gloves on, do what he wants, disinfect everything, different situation. But at the time, I didn't know. And so this man had not shampooed to the point that his hair looked like he had taken a bottle of gel and just squeezed it out into his hair and I asked him, I was like, do you have product in your hair? Do you have any? No.
Oh, the oil solidified.
It was that thick of oil in his hair. And he liked it that way. Supposedly, he had, from what I could visually see, was very well off. It was
just a choice.
I had to go to him with my tail tucked, and because the salon manager said, send him home. Absolutely not. And I had to tell him, unfortunately, my salon manager will not let me continue on if I'm unable to shampoo you. At that time, it was one of the things. If you take a cut client, you shampoo that cut client. That was one of the processes. And so he told me then that this was the third or fourth, I can't exactly remember, salon that had sent him on his way, and that he understood and he left, never heard from him again. But one, I get itchy after about a week because I go once a week. At a week, my scalp itches like crazy. Two, that was the moment that I've not had many moments in the salon industry that I felt so bad for having to turn someone away. Because a lot of times I'm turning someone away because they're being rude or being like invalid, like whatever reason. Typically I feel solidified in the reasoning of why I'm sending someone away. That one I didn't feel right about because for whatever reason he had decided not to do that. I can't go that long. That's not, but his head, not my head. But that one I didn't feel great about. That one made me feel really icky as a stylist.
Someone else sent me a Nikki story that you actually just made me think of. And it's another parent story. And this will be my last story, and then we'll do closing, whatever, because we've been here for so long.
We could talk for hours.
Mom brings young girl to the hair salon, and as soon as this child gets in the chair, the stylist sees this girl's hair is matted to oblivion. So how often do you brush your child's hair? Because we might need to do it a little bit more often because her hair is now matted, and we do charge an extra dematting fee because of the work that goes in. Like, this is going to take a while.
There's a difference between matting and knotting.
Yes, correct. This is severe. Like, is there something going on that we need to know about? Like, what's going on? Well, how much is dematting going to cost? Well, it is a little bit more expensive, but this is a problem.
Yeah.
This is legally classified as neglect, and I'm sure that's not what's going on.
Right.
But, like, we need to get to the bottom of what's going on with her hair so that we can fix it and this doesn't keep happening. Well, I don't know. What'd you do last time? What do you mean, what did I do last time? That's the last time she's brushed her hair. You're the last one to do it.
How old was this child?
Maybe like 8. Ma'am, you're telling me that you haven't brushed your daughter's hair once in the 2 months since I've seen her? Isn't that what you're here for? How often do you brush your hair? Every day, but like, I'm an adult. If she can't brush her own hair, she's 8. If she can't brush her own hair, then maybe she doesn't need hair.
I have an 8-year-old niece, and she tries because she's a girly girl. She likes doing her hair.
I love it.
But there are spots on her hair that she can't figure out how to get it out without extreme pain.
Yes.
And
they don't know how to get knots out yet. They haven't learned.
Help.
Yes. 8 years old. Most 8-year-olds can't even tie their own shoes. You can't help her brush her hair. Tell her to brush her hair. She says, ma'am, I feel like I have to report this because, like, this is legally classified as neglect. So you're going to get, CPS involved because you don't like my daughter's hair? No. Who are you to decide whether this child is in a good situation or not? You're trying to just break up a family because you don't like how I take care of her hair? Fine. You don't want the mats? Shave it off. So the hairstylist went and made a call, had an officer do a wellness check. Mom left so many bad reviews. This hairstylist tried to wreck my family. She tried to whatever. She tried to do XYZ. And what's crazy is every time I tell a story on this podcast, whether it's a teacher or a nurse, hairstylist, whatever, who is concerned about a child's well-being, and like just makes a report, wellness check, whatever, you would not believe the number of comments, DMs, whatever, that I get threatening me for advocating for the government to interfere with someone's child or take their child away, and how I'm such a monster because I can't believe that I would support anyone getting involved like that. Crazy. It is actually, I will never not be surprised by how many people are more concerned about adults' feelings than a child's safety and well-being.
I had a client when I was early on in my career, and her daughter was on the spectrum, or is on the spectrum, and she had severe sensory issues with any type of pulling on her hair. And no matter what her mother did to try to get her knots out, it got to the point where it was severely getting almost to the matting portion. Mm-hmm. So instead of allowing it to get there, she would make weekly appointments to come in for me to get those knots, the severe knots out, because for some reason her daughter did not bat an eye when I did it. I don't know if, and I tried to teach her how I did it at the salon. I don't know if maybe it was
got magic hands.
Maybe. But she would come in weekly to get her hair brushed, and that was it. I didn't shampoo it. I didn't blow dry it. It was to brush her hair, and her mom would maintain it the rest of the week the best she could. Sometimes you just got to figure out a way to make things happen.
Yes.
To help take care of your
That's
child.
what being a parent is.
Yes.
That's what being a parent is.
Oh, that breaks my heart for that child.
It's gross. It's gross. But can you think of any other last minute things that you either want to address, say, mention, anything before we finally shut up?
I'm sitting here trying to think, and I have honestly.
Do we have to maybe do a part 2 episode one day?
I would be cool with a part 2 episode.
That'd be so much fun.
Because I feel like we just sat here and rambled the entire time.
And I feel like we'll let people in the comments pick a topic. Like we talked about nightmares in the hair industry today.
We could talk about the next time. We could also get into when I came out after being married to a man before, and a lot of my clients left me.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that's that. Okay,
I've not really talked about it online much, but it was
okay. Yeah,
it
we're
was
gonna talk about that.
ridiculous.
Yeah, we're gonna, for sure. Oh my gosh, I love you so much.
I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, thanks for coming. I just love you, and I hope you guys love Bailey as much as I did. Of course, I love this woman, and thank you guys for hanging out with us. And we'll see y'all next week. Bye, my lovelies.